Jacksonville Jaguars fans, welcome into Duval Daily, presented by GenJag.com. I'm Jordan DeLugo. Thanks so much for being here. Friday, August 22nd, 2025, the day before the Jaguars' final preseason game, preseason week 3, Miami Dolphins in Miami, Saturday night, 7 p.m. We're going to preview this football game. And it's a weird game to preview because it's the first one of the preseason that is not going to feature starters. So we're going to dive into it. Really appreciate y'all being here. If you enjoy the content, please like and subscribe. You can also check out genjag.com/shop. Pick up some new Duval gear like the hat I am wearing right now. So the Jaguars will not be playing their starters in this one. Starters got a little bit of run in each of the first 2 preseason games. Not this time. That was the expectation. That's kind of the industry standard right now. A lot of teams, if they're going to give their starters action in the preseason, it's going to be the first couple weeks. Week 3, you're starting to get a little bit too close to the start of the regular season. And you don't want to potentially put guys in harm's way when you really need to be ready for regular season week 1. So it makes sense. That's what I expected to happen. I expected the Jaguars to have their joint practice yesterday with the Dolphins, and then to pack it up and start preparing for week 1. Now, players not packing it up, there's a lot of them, right? You have about 20 starters-ish that aren't going to be playing. I say 20 because there's probably a couple guys on the border of starting, not starting, that could potentially play. So 20 to 25 players not playing. That leaves a whole big group of players that will be playing and trying to earn their way onto this roster. Now, most of the spots on the roster have been decided already, but you're going to see position battles, not just to make the team, but to potentially earn a higher spot on the depth chart. You are going to see some guys trying to make this football team or put out good tape for other teams. So certainly not a meaningless game for a lot of people. And when you cover a team, go through training camp with a team, you certainly value the time that these people put into their craft. And so I'll be watching this and reviewing it just like any other preseason game, right? It means a lot to a whole lot of people. So, what am I looking for? Bashal Tutin and the rookies. These are not players that are, in my opinion, probably in any jeopardy of not making the roster. When you talk about Bashal Tutin, LeQuint Allen, Rayon Lane, Jonah Monheim, Jack Kaiser, I think all these drafted rookies are going to make the football team. I think they like them a lot. And I think there's reasons to like him a lot. But Bashal Tutin is what I'm most excited about right now because Caleb Ransaw is dealing with an injury week to week, and Wyatt Milam's also week to week. And those are 2 guys I think have a bright future in Jacksonville. But I think Bashal Tutin is going to be the highest impact early on, and he's my favorite back on the team right now. He absolutely is. I love his quickness, explosiveness, long speed, which we haven't even gotten to see that in preseason yet. We have not seen him get out into the open and turn on the jets, which it's incredible when you do see that. But what we have seen, I think, is pretty good vision, pretty good feel for patience and finding the right hole, leg churn. You've seen that every single game so far. You've seen that most practices, and a guy who has a small strike zone for defenders trying to tackle. So I'm excited to see him. I'm excited to see LeQuint Allen as well. He's done a lot of good things in pass protection and pass catching out of the backfield in preseason. Rayon Lane has done things in the preseason, especially on special teams, but he also had an interception in training camp this week. Jack Kaiser has been pretty steady as he goes. I think he has a future in this league as either like a top depth linebacker and core special teamer, or potentially a starting linebacker or a role playing linebacker. So excited to see these rookie draft picks for the Jaguars first and foremost. who is playing at safety in this game outside of Rayon Lane? Who is going to play? Because like if Dewey's playing, that maybe means he hasn't locked up that starting job as much as I think he has. I don't expect to see Eric Murray because he's clearly the starter, but I think you'll see Darnell Savage, Daniel Thomas, Rayon Lane, Antonio Johnson. Not all those guys are going to make this football team. And so safety is such a unique position, and we've talked about it because I don't think the Jaguars have any like high-end starters at safety, but every single player on their roster at safety is really worthy of making a roster, a 53-man roster. So it's like you don't have this massive gap between the starters and the backups, but you do have a bunch of guys that deserve to be on football teams. So who's playing out there at safety and in what capacity I think is going to be pretty important to watch. I mentioned Andrew Wingard. Does Devin Lloyd play? Because, like, is he officially a starter? You've seen some back and forth between Lloyd and Ventrell Miller in the starting lineup. Obviously, Foye is a starter, but is Devin Lloyd playing? That'll be something to watch, for sure, in my opinion. Other positions like that, I think the only real one is, like, right guard. I doubt Patrick McCarry's going to play just because he's been battling through injuries a little bit. Chuma Edoga, those guys are in a competition to start at right guard. I think what they're trying to do is get the best out of Patrick McCarry by pushing him with competition. But if he doesn't rise to meet that level of competition, Chuma Edoga can very easily start games for this football team. Not saying that's the best situation, but that's where they're at. Do Mason Smith and or Eric Armstead get on the field? My expectation is that Eric Armstead will not get on the field just because he's a veteran. He had a good week of practice. He did well against the Dolphins by all accounts on yesterday. But Mason Smith, he's a younger guy. He needs development. He's incredibly talented, physically gifted. Does he play? I would like to see him play, but I also don't want to see him get injured. I'm glad I don't have to make that decision. Absolutely. So it's going to be an interesting one to see. Does someone separate at wide receiver? You've got your top four locked in. I mean, I expect Parker to play a good bit, but does anyone else separate? Like, I think the top two candidates to be the next receiver after Parker Washington are probably Trenton Irwin and Austin Trammell, but you've got some other guys that have made plays. Eli Pancall has made plays. Cam Camper has made plays. Dorian Singer has made plays. You've still got Darius Lassiter as well. If I'm Chandler Brayboy, who's a speedster. If I'm forgetting anyone, I apologize. But does anyone come into this game and make a statement? And to make the back end of this roster, make no mistake about it, you have to have an impact on special teams. You have to be able to contribute on special teams. At edge, BJ Green has been the most consistent pass rusher in preseason, which is crazy. But he's getting pressure. He's explosive. He's physical. He brings it. Danny Strigow has made some impressive plays. I've seen Miles Cole flash here and there. Ethan Downs has flashed here and there. Can somebody at edge, potentially make this roster outside of your top four? Josh Hines-Allen, Trayvon Walker, Emmanuel Ogbah, DeJuan Smoot. You also have those hybrid guys, right, that are trying to make the roster. Dennis Gardeck, Jalen McLeod, Yasir Abdullah. I don't know where they would probably be classified as linebackers. But can BJ Green continue to kind of fight for that roster spot? Can some of these other guys make a push? I would have a hard time cutting Green and hoping he makes it back to the practice squad, but that might be what they have to do. We'll see. Do we actually get to see Seth Hennigan? Nick Mullins, he makes a lot of good plays, makes us too many bad plays as well. Bad decisions, inaccurate footballs, doesn't have a big arm. John Wolford, very sporadic as well. Do we actually get to see Seth Hennigan? I think the Jaguars absolutely want him in this building. I think they want him on the practice squad. I don't think that they feel ready to say, hey, this guy's got to be on the active roster. because I don't think they feel ready to put him in a game if they have to. But at the same time, like, are they ready to put Nick Mullins in a game if they have to? Are they? Because the Vikings weren't, where he and Grant Udinski came from. The Vikings regularly made moves to go add talent at the quarterback position when a guy got injured. And you've seen the Rams, they've done it too before in the past with Matthew Stafford injuries, going to get Baker Mayfield. So quarterback's going to be really fascinating to see how it plays out. And, you know, you hope you don't have to find out what the plan would be if there's an injury at quarterback. That's my sincerest hope for Trevor Lawrence and for the Jaguars and for all the fans out there, right? But that's what I'm looking for. Maybe a little Cam Little special at the end of the half. 80 yards? No, I don't know about 80. I think 75 is definitely doable in the right conditions, though. But yeah, I do want to see some situational mastery. I want to see, like, you know, not having these dumb penalties and all that stuff. But that stuff is really more important for the starters. To make this football team, yeah, you need to execute. You need to be alignment and assignment sound. But now that the starters aren't going to be out there, like, that's not as critical for overall the look of this football team heading into regular season week 1. It's more important just for individuals trying to make the team. So that's where we're at. Jaguars Dolphins preseason week 3 tomorrow night, Saturday night, 7 p.m. Really appreciate y'all being here. If you enjoy the content, please like and subscribe. Y'all have a good one.